is how a narcissistic relationship ends in chaos. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today, let's dive into the final chapter of narcissistic relationships. Give that a moment to sink in, huh? If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share it with others. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Every narcissistic relationship has its shelf life. Actually, scratch that, every relationship does. Eventually, someone moves on, whether it's to a new chapter in life or, well, beyond this earthly realm. So, let's talk about the endgame of a narcissistic relationship. It's like no other ending you've ever experienced. Think back to how it all went down. Did it implode suddenly, leaving you reeling? Or maybe you felt a sense of unease creeping in days before, like something was off kilter. You see, just before the final curtain fell, whether you were discarded or not, you had this gut feeling that things weren't right. But here's the kicker. Back then, you probably didn't even know what narcissism was, let alone a discard. You likely thought you could patch things up, like you always did before. But let's be real here. When you were in that relationship, you were basically an unpaid sidekick, constantly making excuses for the narcissist, trying to keep things together. It wasn't a healthy, reciprocal relationship. It was a dark, tumultuous journey through the narcissistic fog where you endured all sorts of abuse, gaslighting, silent treatment, smear campaigns, you name it. Yet, you stuck around, maybe out of love, maybe out of necessity, who knows? But as I mentioned earlier, every toxic relationship has its expiration date. Let's talk about those last days before the relationship ended. They were probably pretty rough, right? If you were the one who got dumped, think back. Did you notice a bunch of red flags piling up? Maybe the bad behavior was getting worse and worse. Was your partner suddenly spending more time away from home, coming up with flimsy excuses, or blaming you for everything? All those little things start to add up. Being in a toxic relationship is like getting cut by 1,000 tiny knives. It slowly chips away at your happiness and confidence. Here's the thing. The narcissist knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to end things too, even if they didn't say it outright. Now, if you were the one planning your escape, kudos to you. That takes serious strength and planning. You had your backup plan ready, maybe squirreled away some cash, lined up a job or a place to crash. That's no small feat, my friend. Most people don't leave a toxic relationship on their own terms. It usually ends with the narcissist tossing them aside. And trust me, there are plenty of reasons why they do it that way. Here's why they prefer to ditch you rather than have a civilized breakup chat. They want to hurt you, plain and simple. Plus, they've probably already lined up someone new to leech off of. They've drained you dry of everything. Your time, money, energy, love, health, you name it. And when they see your tank is running on fumes, they kick you to the curb without a second thought. Sound familiar? It's a tale as old as time, my friend. But here's the kicker. They don't expect you to bounce back. They don't think you're capable of rising from the ashes, stronger than ever. But guess what? You can and you will. Look at you now, soaking up all this wisdom and sharing it with others. You're like a beacon of hope, guiding people through the storm to freedom. And let me tell you, it's not easy. It takes journaling, meditating, therapy, self-reflection. Basically, a whole toolkit of healing strategies. But trust me, it's worth it. You'll heal in your own time, on your own terms. When you got the boot from the narcissist, what happened? Maybe you walked into an empty house, feeling like the rug got pulled from under you. Or you checked your bank account and found it bone dry, like someone had sucked it dry overnight. Surprise, surprise, it was probably the narcissist, siphoning off your hard-earned cash without a second thought. They think they're entitled to everything you've got, from your money to your kids, and they'll do whatever it takes to keep it all for themselves. Speaking of kids, if you've got little ones with a narcissist, you know the struggle is real. After the breakup, did you find yourself fighting tooth and nail just to see your own kids? That's classic narcissist behavior. They want to control everything, even your relationship with your own children. It's messed up, but sadly, It's par for the course with these types. They're all about power and manipulation, and they'll stop at nothing to get what they want. But hey, that's a whole other can of worms we can crack open another time. Those final days before the narcissistic relationship hits rock bottom, they're like a twisted roller coaster ride you never wanted to be on. Picture this. You come home expecting your cozy nest, only to find it stripped bare like a movie set after the filming's done. Or worse, the narcissist cherry picks their stuff out, leaving behind broken bits and pieces, like they're making some sick art installation. And when does this bomb usually drop? Right smack in the middle of your life's big moments, your birthday, holidays, or when you're already down and out, like in the hospital or moving house. It's like they've got a radar for your weakest spots. But let's rewind a bit. Before the whole crash and burn, you could feel a storm brewing. That uneasy feeling? Yeah, it's been there since day one. Because let's be real, these narcissists don't exactly come with a warm and fuzzy vibe. They size you up, reel you in with charm, and before you know it, you're their next meal ticket. But here's the kicker. They don't just want a piece of you, they want it all. Your energy, your love, your cash, anything they can suck out, they'll take without a second thought. And once they've drained you dry, they toss you like yesterday's news and move on to the next target. So, what's the takeaway? Cut ties. Lock 'em, delete 'em, and don't look back. Trust me, it's the only way to break the cycle and reclaim your life. If cutting ties isn't an option yet, there's another trick up your sleeve, grey rock. Basically, you become as boring as watching paint dry, flying under the narcissist's radar. Now, I get it. Many of you are still stuck in the trenches, living under the same roof as your narcissist. Maybe you've gone from lovey-dovey to housemates, living in separate wings of the same house. And let me tell you, it's no walk in the park. You're footing all the bills while they're just siphoning off your resources, playing the waiting game till they bleed you dry. You're probably counting down the days till you can finally cut ties for good. Divorcing a narcissist. Trust me, it's a whole marathon on its own, with court dates, lawyer meetings, and a timeline that seems to stretch on forever. These folks are masters at dragging things out, keeping you trapped in their toxic web, preventing you from moving on with your life. And trust me, that's exactly what they want, to keep you stuck, to keep you in their orbit, to keep you reliant on them. So, if you've already made your escape, drop a comment below and share your journey with the community. We've all been there, or we're still there, or we're trying to break free. It's tough, I know. Maybe you've even had those moments of clarity, those flickers of hope when you thought, I'm getting out of here, I'll leave someday. But the narcissist, they're masters of reading you back in, keeping you tethered to them, making sure you can't break free. It's a vicious cycle, but trust me, you're not alone. Let's talk about divorcing a narcissist. Trust me, it's no cakewalk, and we could fill a whole series with just that topic. These folks play the waiting game like pros, stretching things out to keep you trapped, preventing you from moving forward with your life or finding love again. They want you stuck, swirling in their toxic orbit, unable to break free. It's their game plan. Now, let's circle back to the final days of your toxic relationship. If you've already made your exit, drop a comment below. Share your story with the gang. We're all in this together. Some of us have been there, some are still there, and some are itching to break free. And if you've already made it out, whether by your choice or theirs, you know the struggle firsthand. Picture this. You've reached your breaking point. You're done with the abuse, done with being treated like dirt. You've had enough. You're ready to walk away for good. But every time you try to leave, they reel you back in, using whatever leverage they have, money, shelter, you name it, to keep you tethered to them, stuck in their web. This is their playbook. They want you dependent on them, unable to break away, so they can keep making your life a living hell, bit by bit. It's a sick game, but unfortunately, many of us have been players in it. Picture this. One day, you hit your breaking point. You'd had enough. So, what did you do? Maybe you packed your bags in a fury, booked a ticket, and got the heck out of Dodge. You knew it was now or never. You had to make a move or risk losing yourself entirely. If that sounds like your story and you get it, you felt that pressure building, that feeling of enough is enough. It was either bail out or risk your sanity, your well-being, maybe even your life. Here's the cold, hard truth. Those toxic relationships, they don't get better. Nope, they just get worse with time. Every day that ticks by, the narcissist gets a little older, a little more bitter, and you get a little more beaten down by their abuse. It's a cycle of misery, and sooner or later, something's got to give. You'll either lash out in frustration, walk away for good, get discarded like yesterday's trash, or worse of all, stay stuck in that fog, that zombie-like state where you're just existing, not really living. But hey, if you're still stuck in that fog, if you're still in the thick of it, then this might not be the video for you. This one's more for those who've already been through the ringer, whether they got kicked to the curb or made a run for it themselves. Share your story, though. Let us know what those last few days before the end were like. It's all about helping each other out. Let me tell you, those final days, they're like trying to hold up a crumbling wall. You can feel the weight of it bearing down on you, but you can't quite put your finger on why. And if you did get kicked to the curb, well, once you've had a chance to lick your wounds and start picking up the pieces, you might look back and realize, yeah, things were getting pretty dicey. The narcissist was MIA, the pressure was on, and then bam, I got the boot. And then the pieces start to fall into place. You start to see the cracks in the facade, the manipulations, the games. You realize it wasn't your fault. You were just a pawn in their twisted game of love they can't even play. The narcissists, they're hollow, incapable of real emotion or connection. They're just out for themselves, willing to tear you down to build themselves up. So no, you didn't get closure. No, they didn't wish you well. They just wanted to grind you into the ground, take everything you had, and move on to their next victim. It's a vicious cycle, one they'll keep playing until someone finally sees through their act. Once you've got that wisdom under your belt, it's time to put it to work. You need to stop being a people pleaser, stop saying yes to everything, and start setting boundaries. You need to recognize your own value and worth. Because let's face it, going through or being in a toxic, narcissistic relationship is no walk in the park. And not everyone who goes through it comes out the other side wiser. Most people don't actually. You might think, well, everyone learns from their mistakes. But that's not the case. You can read about it all you want, but until you've lived it, the sleepless nights, the tears, the isolation, you won't truly understand. But healing isn't something that happens overnight. It takes patience, resilience, and a whole lot of self-love. You need to remind yourself that none of this was your fault. You were manipulated, plain and simple. And the narcissist, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they probably still do. So, before I wrap up, if you can remember those last few days before your narcissistic nightmare came to an end, share your story below. Pay it forward. Your experience might just help someone else who's currently trapped in the same situation. Remember, we've all been there at some point. We heal, we grow, and then we help others do the same. That's what community is all about. All right, that's a wrap for today. Remember, no matter where you are or what you're going through, you're not alone. Take care, stay strong, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.